The history of math is our intellectual foundation to understanding science. Science. Beautiful, awesome, wonderful science. It's the creative foundation to our ineffable future. Hi, I'm Gabrielle Burchak, and this is my podcast, Math, Science, History. Being a resident of Los Angeles, I often find myself stuck in traffic. And believe it or not, I really do love traffic. As a bookaholic, it gives me the chance to listen to my books on Audible. Did you know that when you sign up at Audible, you get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial? You can sign up at www.audibletrial.com/mathsciencehistory and choose from over 180,000 titles for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. So many wonderful books to explore the wonders of math, science, and history. If you are listening to this podcast on Monday, December 9th, join me in celebrating Rear Admiral Grace Hopper's birthday. Grace Murray Hopper was born on December 9th in 1906 in New York, New York. If you have never heard of Admiral Hopper, you should know that she defined tenacity. As a young girl, she was very curious and brilliant. She applied for college at the age of 16 at Vassar College. However, she didn't get in because her Latin test scores were too low. So, a year later, she applied again and she got in. In 1928, with a bachelor's in mathematics and physics in hand, she graduated from Vassar with Phi Beta Kappa honors, which means she graduated with at least a 3.8 GPA. 2 years later, she earned her master's degree at Yale. 4 years later, she had earned her PhD also from Yale and began teaching at Vassar in 1931. Hopper wanted to join the Navy when World War II began. However, the Navy believed that she was too old to enlist because she was 34 years old, and they believed that her work as a mathematics professor was too valuable an asset for the war efforts. Also, she was a skinny mini, and so they thought that her height and weight was too low. However, 3 years later, shortly before her birthday, she had this deep realization that she needed to change her life. So, she reapplied to the Navy. She ended her 15-year marriage, received a leave of absence from the university, and was sworn into the United States Navy Reserve. She graduated first in her class, of course, at the Naval Reserve Midshipman School at Smith College. Her first assignment was as a junior grade lieutenant to the Bureau of Ships Computation Project at Harvard University. She loved it there so much that when the war was over, Vassar tried to hire her back with the position of full professor. However, she decided to stay with the Naval Reserve, working at the Harvard Computation Lab. In 1949, she started working with Eckert-Mauchly Corp., working as a mathematician and developer for the UNIVAC. In her first few years there, she had this idea to make a computer that could program itself using English words. See, back then, machine codes were used to give computers instructions, but her idea was to create a computer that could take in the words and then translate them back into machine code. This is also known as a compiler. However, even though she introduced it, her idea was dismissed. But this is Grace Hopper. She defined tenacity. She wrote a paper about it that was published in 1952. This was also the same year that Remington Rand took over Eckert-Mauchly and moved forward with her idea to create a compiler. By 1954, Hopper became Remington Rand's first director of automatic programming. By this point, she had turned her compiler into the Flowmatic compiler, which then became the foundation for COBOL, C-O-B-O-L, COBOL. It's an acronym for Common Business-Oriented Language, and that's basically what it is. It's a coding language for business data processing, and this includes accounting systems, database systems, payroll systems, inventory systems, and pretty much anything that a company would need to help run a business. Her contributions to this language were so valuable that she earned the nickname Grandma COBOL. Fun fact, She was the very first person to coin the term debugging when a moth got caught in one of the electrical switches controlling the circuits on a Mark II computer that had broken down at Harvard in 1947. This moth was caught in the system and they removed the moth, and so began the term debugging a computer. This infamous moth is now on display at the Smithsonian. Grace Hopper served our military on and off from 1944 to 1986 when she retired. She had worked her way up in the Navy from midshipman all the way up to rear admiral. In 1996, the USS Hopper, a Navy warship, was named after her, and it was nicknamed Amazing Grace. In 2001, the Government Technology Leadership Awards were named in her honor and are called the Gracies. In addition to earning her PhD, she was awarded 40 honorary degrees from universities around the world. Among her multitude of awards, she has received 9 military awards, and in 2016, she was posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom for her accomplishments in computer science. I've placed a video of her in an interview with Walter Cronkite on 60 Minutes on my website, mathsciencehistory.com. It's a great interview, and what I love most about this interview is the way her face lights up when she talks about her work with the Navy. Admiral Hopper sadly passed away on January 1st, 1992, but she left a tremendous legacy. Comic book series have been written about her, the first robotics competition world championship is named for her, and the annual conference Grace Hopper Celebration of Women in Computing is held every year. Admiral Hopper's greatest legacy was all the training that she did for the Navy. She was most proud of her commitment to the Navy for 43 years, training young service members for the Navy and giving back to our country. For me, what I admire most about her was her curiosity. When she was teaching at Vassar, she made a point to audit 2 classes a semester that had absolutely nothing to do with what she knew. So here we have this brilliant woman with a PhD in math and physics, and she didn't just focus on one thing. She broadened her knowledge in all areas. She spent her life finding new ways to approach a challenge. One of my favorite quotes of hers is, "Humans are allergic to change. They love to say, we've always done it this way. I try to fight that. That's why I have a clock on my wall that runs counterclockwise." I'm Gabrielle Burchak. This podcast has been brought to you by caffeine. Delicious, wonderful nectar of the gods caffeine. Coffee, tea, coffee candy, you name it. I love it. Thank you for listening to Math Science History. If you are interested in reading more about the history of math and science, please come visit me at mathsciencehistory.com. And while you are there, if you like what you're listening to, please feel free to click on that coffee button and buy me a cup of coffee. Until next week, Carpe Diem.